Dude, this is poison. This is literally poison for the election. Consistently crying about Biden. Like, what are you doing, man? Bro, you were running against him. And now you're running against someone else. You're just whining. I don't think this works. Trump is speaking on the economy. Oh, he already started? Let's see what my goat is saying.
Thank you very much. Well, this is a very frisky group, I have to say.
I already ran the top of the hour ad break chat.
And by the way, we have some very good polls coming out today, I just heard. Despite all of the fake publicity about this radical left person from San Francisco. How's San Francisco doing? Not like North Carolina. No, we have some very good polls coming out, so that's good. You know, considering the fact that what they do, what the fake news is able to do, and yet we're leading.
Bro, there's like two pollsters that show him doing well. Is Rasmussen and Trafalgar. Like, even Trafalgar doesn't show him doing well in key states. I don't know what the fuck he's talking about.
Because they took it away from him.
Something that I didn't see, or his internal polls actually show something different.
Terrible.
He's cooked.
And I'm not sure that they picked the right guy in him, but he got
Subtitles
14 million votes. He got 14 million votes. He got.
If chat, you can find me a YouTube stream where subtitles are working, I'll switch to that one.
They are a threat to democracy, right? As they say.
Didn't Biden break the railroad strikes? I'm gonna die. 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 I'm gonna die.
Members
Stop.
of Congress, Chuck Edwards and Virginia Fox.
Just Google it.
Warriors, thank you wherever you may be.
Here. Every single time someone says that, Google, okay, railroad unions on Biden, okay? Okay, railroad unions on Biden paid sick leave, okay? And then you can find, this is IBEV. We never stopped applying pressure, hard fought success on rail sick days. After months of negotiations, the IBEV's railroad members at four of the largest U.S. freight carriers have finally have what they have sought out, but many working people take for granted: paid sick days. Okay? Here, this one has subtitles. Thank you, Themasius. Okay? While President Joe Biden was calling on Congress in November to pass legislation to implement the agreement, he stressed that he would continue to encourage railroads to guarantee paid sick time for their employees. I share workers' concern about the inability to take leave to recover from illness or take care of a sick family member, Biden said. That pressure, plus the IBEV's ongoing efforts, is paying off at last. Do you understand? If you want to actually hear about it, go to the unions directly. They never stopped applying pressure, even after Brandon broke the strike. Okay? He literally kept up the pressure as well. And they went directly to the railroad companies and quietly got them to stand down. The major issue in this situation is that for some weird reason, and I don't know, you rarely see this in mainstream media. The only places covering this is actually union papers, dude. That's why so many motherfuckers come in here after getting geared on TikTok to be like, Biden broke the labor union pressure on the railroads, on the railroad unions. Like, how dare you say he's pro-labor? It's like, I know, he's not the best. Actually, for modern presidents, he is literally the best. Low bar to clear. Biden never mentioned it too. Is he stupid? Bro, what are we talking about? He was, until we had to claw him out of power, talking about NATO at every campaign stop. Yes, the answer is he is stupid. Yes, the people surrounding him are brain dead, okay? He would go to like North Carolina and be like, I expanded NATO. I Finlandized NATO, Jack. I was like, I'm Brian Kilme. I'm Brian Kilme. In a video game, I would like to jump off of a cliff. Every time I heard him say he expanded NATO, I was like, it literally stabbed me directly in the heart. What an idiotic way to run a campaign. Yes, NBC left.
She has the greatest press. She went from being a totally disrespected person 6 weeks ago. Nobody thought she had a chance. Nobody, and I don't think she can possibly win. If she does, our country is finished. You want to know the truth. But
Yeah.
she was totally disrespected. The most
totally
unpopular
disrespected.
vice president in the history of our country. And then they decided to get politically correct. We have to put her in. They put her in, and now they're putting her on the covers of Time magazine with an artist sketch. They don't use a picture. They don't use a picture. They use an artist sketch. I want to use that artist. I want to find that artist. I like him very much. But we're going to beat her also, and they may then get a third candidate. Who knows? This is a little bit different than we're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to have a candidate. You know, we spent probably $100 million on beating him. Then we had a very good debate, and we beat him. And they said, well, instead of letting it go, who knows what happens, right? It's the world of politics. They say, we want him out. Joe, you're getting out now, Joe. Well, I don't want to get out. I have 14. You're getting out now, Joe. We can do it the nice way, or we can do it the hard way. And he's getting out. He's getting out. In fact, they're not even giving him a good spot to speak. You know, when he's speaking on Monday, Monday's not that's the worst day. But that's what they do, and it's their own form of, it's just another, I guess relatively, it's a minor form of cheating by comparison to what they really do, right? Everything Kamala Harris touches.
Dude, this is poison. This is literally poison for the election. Consistently crying about Biden. Like, what are you doing, man? What are you doing? Oh, they really fucked him up. They really fucked him up big time. It's like, bro, you were running against him. And now you're running against someone else. You're just whining that, like, you have a stronger ticket to go against now.
We are going to save America.
Like, I don't think this works. Like, I think this is really whiny.
Now, this is a little bit different day because this isn't around. This is, we're talking about a thing called the economy. They wanted to do a speech on the economy. A lot of people are very devastated by what's happened with inflation and all of the other things. So we're doing this as a intellectual speech. You're all intellectuals today. Today we're doing it, and we're doing it right now, and it's very important. They say it's the most important subject. I think crime
His
is
fan
right
base is
there.
whiny. His fan base is already voting for him, chat. Come on, you've met MAGA guys, okay? You've met Trump supporters. You know what they're like, okay? He could go up there and literally be like, I think every single one of you are disgusting little worms, and I hate you. And they would be like, hell yeah, Mr. President, you're right. You say it like it is. I'm a worm for you. Okay? Like, it doesn't matter. He's not going after his base. His base is super hardened already. He's going after new voters or people that are in the margins, people outside of his immediate base of support.
You don't hear about the American dream anymore. It's dead. Her radical liberal policies have caused horrific inflation, decimated the middle class, and gutted the finances of millions and millions of American families. Real incomes are down by over $2,000 a year per family. I mean, that's a lot of money. They're down by that, and it's actually much more if you figure it a certain way. If you add some other categories in, it's much more than that. But down by 2,000 since she took office, and it was just announced that real earnings were down once again at a record rate. The Harris price hikes have cost the typical household $28,000. Congratulations. Hope everyone's happy.
Boo!
Credit card debt has exploded, and it's exploded to the highest it's ever been, and the cost of a typical monthly mortgage has tripled, and probably more than that if you think about it. We were at about 2.4%, and now you're up to 10% and even 11%, but you're really not there because you can't get the money even if you want to pay it.
Do I agree
In
with
July
this?
alone,
Yes.
350,000 people were added
Yes.
to the unemployment rolls. Kamala.
I'm not going to lie. You can thank Brandon for that, okay? Both by being like an old white guy, but also being like an old school politician who doesn't fuck with that in general. But like that is one of the two key things that the Kamala Harris campaign thus far has picked up from the Brandon camp, Brandon re-election, that is objectively good, is dropping like convoluted intersectionality arguments about like, this is just like academic speak, okay? And yeah, the somewhat related, Harris has thus far wisely avoided all the identity politics excesses of Clinton 2016. No charts about intersectionality, obsessing over black women voters, etc. Waltz is particularly good at speaking without DEI consultant vibes or lingo. Now remember, there were moments where Biden did that when he talked about black voters in a way where he was like, and those were massive flubs, but in a way where he was basically like, if you don't vote for me, you literally aren't black, right? Like those were really, really bad moments. Those were not good moments for him. But beyond that, he never did like the intersectionality shit, right? He wasn't with the woke stuff because he's old as dirt. That is good. That's not a bad thing. Like talk about the actual issues that matter. Don't just like leave it as a standalone to be like, we love diversity. Okay. Talk about how Republicans are using diversity as a way to like undermine black and brown people. Don't be like, you know, if you ain't voting for me, you ain't black, Jack. But with that exception, Biden didn't do a lot of like DEI narratives in general or any sort of like identity politics stuff or academic speak, you know? And I think it's good that the Kamala Harris picked that up. The other thing that they picked up that I think is really good, okay? He literally said, if you don't vote for him, you ain't black, is a quote. I know. I already brought that up. Why are you bringing up something? Chat, I don't know if you're following from a mobile phone and you're just like, you know, you haven't gotten to the point where I already said that. But like, just, you know, hold that shit in the pocket for a second. Wait, maybe I will address it, okay? No charts about intersectionality, obsessing over black women voters, etc. Waltz is particularly good at speaking without DEI consultant vibes or lingo. Kamala is running a strangely Trumpy campaign while Trump is running a strangely Hillary-ish campaign. It's not just surface level stuff like this. I agree. That's why I said this is a 2016 reversal. I'm actually pretty glad that they're like sticking to the issues instead of doing like the classic Democratic, the classic Democratic operative instincts. Okay. Whereas the Republicans are doing that. Even Trump being like, Kamala is not really black. That's a misstep. That's a weird attempt to do the racialized politics though. Like he's trying to do identity politics, but from the right. No glass ceiling talk, none of that shit. Exactly. So the other good thing that the Biden campaign also did, was be uncompromising in terms of communicating economic progressive politics, progressive policies. Okay? Every single time, like Biden was the worst messenger for this, but the method was good. The message was good. The messenger was awful. So what I mean by this is anytime they were like, you're old as you're going to die. Please leave. Biden would come out and be like, I'm doing rent caps, Jack. I don't give a And it was like, I mean, it's awesome. It's just that you have other unavoidable issues here. You know what I mean? But I'm glad that he was doing that. And I'm happy that the Kamala campaign, at least with the Tim Walz pick, has kind of done that too. They keep trying to be like, you're radical. And she's like, we're not radical. These are good policies. And that's a good thing. Okay. Look how many people showed up to a JD Vance speech today. Yeah, I mean, he's Rizla's brother. He's so bad. Deborah is dying in the corner. So yeah, those are the two good things those are two good instincts that the Democratic Party is like kind of moving on right now. Now, obviously, if they find themselves in more contested races, if the momentum starts dying down, post DNC, for example, like post delivering like some of the policies, and have the Republican Party address those as like communist policies or whatever they might get scared away from defending some of these platform issues, and that would be really bad for them to do that. And then they start leaning on their worst instincts. They start running scared, and they start talking about how like they're not radical actually, and that they're moderate centrists or whatever the. That was very deceptive of you. That photo was taken half an hour before the JD event started. Afterwards, at least 10 more people arrived to see Vance. You know what? You're right. That is double the amount. The Vance rally doubled, technically. That's how you lie with statistics, okay? Wow, the Vance rally doubled after that photo was taken. How dare you not talk about that?
And now the bombs are starting to drop in the Middle East. You see what's going on there, right? That would have never happened. Israel would have never happened. Ukraine would have never happened with Russia.
Based.
You wouldn't have ever had an embarrassment like
You say Israel would never happen. Like, it would not have existed if it were.
inflation would have never happened. We would have never had. It was caused by a very stupid energy policy. Then he went back to my policy because prices were going up so much. But it'll end. If they won this election on day one, all of that would end, and this country will go through hell. And it can never come back. Once it goes, it's pretty far down already. I'm going to have to work very hard. It's pretty far down. When you let 20 million people come into our country from places unknown and from prisons and from mental institutions and terrorists, Kamala Harris won't end the economic crisis. She will only.
Good thing Trump's way of addressing the inflation crisis is by doing more tax cuts. Okay, doing more tax cuts, which he already did at a time when corporate profits were record high. That certainly is not an inflationary fiscal policy, you know. And also, obviously, even from like classical pro-capitalist economists will consistently claim about like flooding the market with more money, causing inflation. And it's like, he did that shit too. And he wants to further cut rates now too, which is like, I mean, he's just wrong on every front, dude.
But she'll never do them. She'll never do them. She'll say them for the election, but she'll never do them.
Hasan is
She
so
can't
clearly
solve the
biased,
problem
rarely ever
because she
criticize
is the
Harris.
problem. She really
You're
is.
wrong.
People like her.
Also, I am biased. I'm also biased against Kamala Harris too.
When I left
on many
office, I
issues.
handed Kamala and crooked Joe Biden a surging economy with no inflation. The 30-year mortgage rate was 2.4%. Gasoline had reached $1 and
Chatter, everyone is biased. The difference is I'm honest and I tell you what my biases are, okay?
7%. The Hispanic American poverty rate was down 8%. The biggest drops, the greatest drops that you've ever seen in this country. They've never had it so well. Nobody has. Every group, men, women, Hispanics, Asians, blacks, everybody was down.
One thing that is really funny about Trump's economic policies is that he wants to do like insane tariffs, like both on China and just like tariffs across the board, which will actually increase costs. He wants to also simultaneously cut rates and have control over cutting rates as the president, which again will literally play a role in inflation going up. Like he wants to tackle this issue from every end. Like he wants to make it so that if he gets a second term, that there will be a lot of growth in the short term, not with the tariffs, but with interest rates. But like whoever comes after is going to be sitting on complete economic collapse. Again, not all that different from average Republicans, mind you.
Harris
that is
and
how the
Biden
Republicans
waged
operate.
war on American energy, threw open our borders, flooded the country with low-wage migrant workers, passed the Green New scam, racked up almost $10 trillion in debt, and buried our workers in job-killing regulations, costing $10,000 per family. That's a lot of money. You don't have to imagine what a Harris presidency would look like. You're living through the misery right now, except it will get worse, and you're paying the price, a price like nobody's ever paid.
Yeah, one of the worst parts for one of the worst aspects of this for Trump is that like the economic recovery has already happened, like inflation has already softened.
Kim Jong-un of North Korea respected us. We were respected by everybody in the world.
That goes
Today
back
we're
to the
being
same
laughed.
equation of like the Joe Biden did that stickers all over the gas pumps. Like when the prices actually normalize again, all of a sudden that becomes a way to like actually positively campaign for the current administration. Like this is a major issue for him.
We're not going to let
The
this
further you move away from negative real wage growth that people did experience, that was a very real thing, the more people forget that they had negative real wage growth and don't attribute that to the administration as a negative at all.
You were a terrible attorney general. You were a terrible district attorney. You're the worst vice president in history.
Dude, inflation is a
Kamala,
scam. Inflation
you're
down, yet
fired.
prices
Get
never
out of here.
recover.
Go. Get out
What do you
of
mean?
here.
That's how it works, brother. The opposite of that would be deflation. I think there are, this doesn't, for the record, there are absolutely areas
Thank you very much.
that
That
need
was
deflation.
not a pleasant day.
I'll give you an example. This is like a very unpopular thing to say, but housing desperately in need of deflation. Like housing prices is completely out of control. Okay. But in that circumstance, college prices, okay, the rental market, these are areas of the American economy, pharmaceutical prices, healthcare costs. These are areas that absolutely need deflation. Why is that unpopular to say? It's technically popular to say, but it's unpopular amongst voters. Why is it unpopular amongst voters? Because a lot of the voters happen to be people that already own homes, people that may even own their second home, people that are renting out their homes. A lot of Americans still are homeowners. I would say that homeowners are more represented in the voting population than non-homeowners are.
That's great.
That's why it's unpopular.
That was one of the most successful shows ever done. I mean, that was a lot of people like him. I think they like me too, come to think of it. But he's great. And he gave us his full endorsement. He's a great guy. But he basically, he's a guy, doesn't need this stuff. What he wants to do is see our country be great again. And he understands. And it's very hard for him to endorse the opposing party. It's not easy. It's very hard. But, he really cares about our country. And he knows the opposing party has destroyed, really will destroy
What the
and
fuck?
permanently destroy our country. And he can't watch that. But we had a great chat for 2.5 hours. 2.5 hours being grilled by Elon. And we had a good time,
What do you
actually.
mean grill?
We're talking
Bro, he
about
was so nice
something.
to you. What the
we
f?
love our
He's such a
country.
fake
Much
friend.
easier when
You,
you love
Trump.
something, right? She doesn't want anybody to know what she's really for, and that way she can change it. I mean, she'll tell you what she wants and change it the way she wants it, and ultimately it'll be the way she wants it. I mean, the clown that she picked as a vice president, this guy's a clown. He was so bad. When Minneapolis was burning down, he didn't want to call in the National Guard. I got him on the phone. You got to get the National Guard. Get it. I'm telling you, if I didn't force it upon him, you might not have the city. Remember CNN standing up? This is a season of love. This is a very peaceful protest, and the whole city is burning down behind him. You ever see anything? As far as the eye could see, the whole thing looked like World War II. Speaking of World War III, I'll keep you out of World War III. He's going to put you in World War III. We're very close. You're very close to being in a war, a big war, a world war. You're very close. We've never been this close. And we have incompetent people in the White House, grossly incompetent people. There was no reason for Russia and Ukraine to go at it. There was no reason for Israel to be attacked on October 7th. Would have never happened. But a politician will always go back to where they started, and on November 6th, she will be a San Francisco liberal, again, destroying everything in sight. I wonder what she does after this. Our country will never recover, especially when added to the destruction they've already caused over the last almost 4 years. Think of our country. Think of the border. Think of what happened. We had the best border. My all-time favorite graph, right? That is my all-time favorite graph, not only because it shows the best border, but for another reason. I tell you what, I'm glad I looked around to look at it. Go, wow, pew. That's my favorite of all time. Even if it was.
You know what this is? It's like the Staten Island New Yorkers yelling, crime, crime, crime. That's exactly what this is. He's doing it again.
Thank you.
He's doing it again.
Thank you very much. Even if it were bad numbers, negative numbers, I still think it would be my favorite of all time.
He's just pointing
If
to
Harris
an
wins
issue
this election, the result will
and
be
openly demonstrating that he likes it. He likes that it's
a
like
1929
up. It's
style.
not, but it doesn't even
Russia.
matter.
1929. When I win the election, we will immediately begin a brand new Trump economic boom. It'll be a boom. We're going to turn this country around so fast. Many people say that the only reason the stock market is up is because people think I am going to win. Did you ever hear that? But there was one day, a couple of weeks ago, when they weren't thinking that, and you saw what happened. This will be a 1929 style crash. You know, I have one of the most brilliant men in Wall Street, I think, here. I shook hands with him just a little while ago. Scott, where's Scott? Where's Scott? Oh, stand up. This man, will you come up here, please? Just come up here for a moment. He is considered one of the most brilliant men on Wall Street, and he's...
Look. This is what Trump just did with the immigration thing.
Crime! 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 Crime!
They're so stupid. They've like devolved, dude. They have literally devolved. Like they're not. This video makes it seem like these guys are actually fans of the crime because it's a mere talking point for them. Do you understand? It's simply a talking point. This was in 2022, and this obviously failed. The crime panic basically got so out of hand, especially amongst the Republicans who wanted to use it as a weapon against the Democrats, that they would just not even talk about how like you're bringing up you're because of you like crime rates are high or whatever. They were just simply yelling crime, crime, crime. That's what Donald Trump is doing over there when he's talking about the immigration numbers. He's like, I love those numbers. They're so good to me.
Crime! 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 Crime!
It worked on Jank. Okay, let's not talk about
everybody. On my first day back in the Oval Office, I will sign an executive order directing every cabinet secretary and agency head to use every tool and authority at their disposal to defeat inflation and to bring consumer prices rapidly down. We'll do it very rapidly.
What is this?
When you look at the costs of groceries, the cost of bacon, where it went up 4 and 5 times. Bacon. I don't order bacon anymore. It's too expensive.
Man, shut up.
It will be a
we know you're
whole
rich as fuck,
of government
bro.
effort to raise the standard of
fuck outta
living and
here.
make
I don't order
American life
bacon.
affordable.
Notice how when other politicians say shit like this, everybody makes fun of them and they're like, bro, shut the fuck up. You're out of touch. You're just saying that. But when Trump says it, oh God, he definitely does. He definitely goes to the grocery store and orders bacon.
50, 60, 70% in so many items. You look at car insurance. I couldn't believe when I looked at those numbers this morning. I was studying numbers, and I looked at the car insurance numbers. It's incredible. And that's just one of many. You can go through many. But the groceries, just to put it in simple terms.
I'm not going to lie. This is one of the worst times.
Less than half a...
This is one of the perhaps worst, if not the worst time to bring up inflation, because the new numbers that just came out literally show that in like the used car market, for example, in the rental market, in the car market, there's deflation. In the used car market, there's deflation by 11 points. Not inflation, deflation.
It's the greatest commercial they ever had. But that's what happened. This is inflation. This is tic-tac. This is tic-tac. This is inflation. This is what's happened. I just happened to have, somebody gave me this one today. I said, I think we'll put it up as an example of inflation. But you know what? Inflation is destroying our country.
That's a good
it's
line, though.
It's destroying our families. We will target everything from car affordability to housing affordability to insurance costs to supply chain issues. We have the worst supply chain we've ever had in the history of the country.
Is he gonna
price
fucking
of
institute price
drugs.
controls? What is he saying?
I will instruct my cabinet that I expect results within the first 100 days or much sooner than that. I would say the first 7 days is fine. Car insurance is up 70 to 100%, and you can't get it. You can't even get it. Do you agree with that? You can't even get it, they tell me. Insurance is up 50% or higher. The whole industry is out of control. The insurance industry has never been anything we have never been in a situation with insurance like it is right now. You can't get it. no matter what you pay. But prices will come down. You just watch. They'll come down, and they'll come down fast, not only with insurance, with everything. At the center of our effort to bring the cost of living under control will be the all-out push to end the Biden-Harris war on a thing called American energy. American energy. We will drill, baby, drill. We're going to bring energy prices down. Thank you. And just so you know, they stopped it, and it was terrible what they did. That's what caused the whole problem in the country, even with supply chains. I mean, it just caused a problem. And then they said, oh, go back to the Trump plan now. Now they're drilling. But the day after the election, if they win this election, the drilling stops. They're only doing this for purposes of getting elected. They said, let's go back to what Trump was doing. But the prices are still way high. You see $5 a gallon now for gasoline, and much higher than that in some areas. And we will put ANWR back into service. You know, ANWR in Alaska, it could be the largest oil field in the world. It could be larger than Saudi Arabia. It could be larger than what Russia has. And Ronald Reagan tried to get it. Good man. He tried to get it, couldn't get it. Bush tried. Everybody tried to get it. I got it. And it was tough. And I got it at different times because they stop it on environmental. You know, they use the environment to stop everything, right? You know that. And we're all environmentalists. We want to see what's right. We want clean air. We want clean water. But we don't want to destroy our country. But they stopped it, and we got it going. We got it going. We got it going like never before. It was all set to go. And then think of this. The first week in office, they stopped it. They gave it back. They said, no, we're not going to do it. The greatest, not only great for Alaska, which is an incredible place and beautiful state. They wanted it so badly. Economic development for Alaska would have been so good. But worldwide, I mean, we would have been selling oil and gas all over the world.
Does he know our country is in the environment, you think? No, that's too long-term thinking, okay? So you know this speech was supposed to be a new speech on the economy, and instead it devolved into name-calling Kamala on CNN. So CNN cut away from the speech to fact-check it and have a panel about how bad Trump is doing. Also, this past week, the USA hit the highest level for oil production and export ever in history for our nation. Yeah, that don't matter. Republicans don't operate on facts. They operate on feelings. So, like, he does not care about this. Like, he does not care about oil production in the country and, like, what stage it's at. I mean, it's complete vibes based. Okay.
Under Kamala's extreme high-cost energy policy known as net zero, you know what net zero, they have no idea what it means, by the way.
My cousin is watching a YouTube video right now titled Hasan is so stupid and should quit politics. Your cousin is about to become the most reactionary loser of all time. You better get in there before it festers and he starts talking about like trans athletes doing the sports and how unacceptable that is. Okay, keep an eye out on your cousin. He's about to go on a right-wing journey.
Stuff that powers the plants. It's not wind that goes around and around. And darling, let's watch the president's State of the Union speech tonight. I'm sorry, we won't be able to do it. The wind isn't blowing, darling. We have no electricity. We have no electricity, darling. We won't be able to watch tonight. But perhaps sometime during the week it will be blowing and we'll be able to get our television on it. Upon taking office, Harris and Biden shut down the Keystone XL pipeline. They issued orders to close dozens and dozens of existing power plants. And Kamala has vowed that if elected, she will absolutely ban fracking. She said, I'll ban fracking just recently. I'll ban fracking. There will be no fracking. That means that she can't win the state of Pennsylvania because Pennsylvania is all about fracking. That's their biggest industry. And you know what, Pennsylvania, I hope you're watching because that's what she says and that's what she'll do and that's what she'll go back to. She wants to ban fracking and she's wanted it for her entire career. And we're not going to let her destroy our country like that. We're not going to let her.
So,
if Harris...
How does he square that hole? You know, how does he square that circle? Like inflation numbers are looking banger for the Biden admin. And he's like, no, you don't understand. It's still very high. It's still so high. It's like, okay.
is going to collapse under these lunatics. By contrast, she said it already has. Who said that, ma'am? Wow. You look healthy, though. You look very nice. You look very nice. By contrast, I'm announcing today that under my leadership, the United States will commit to the ambitious goal of slashing energy and electricity prices by half, at least half.
People don't care about the numbers, though. They care what they pay more in Publix. I know. I understand that.
We intend to slash prices by half.
As far as consumer goods goes, oh my God, he keeps saying he's going to slash prices by half. Hold on. I want to see what he's going to say.
I voted for him. I still got him down a lot, but we're looking to do it. We're looking to cut them in half, and we think we'll be able to do better. And every single thing that I promised, I produced. Every single thing. You will never have had energy so low as you will under a certain gentleman known as Donald J. Trump. Have you heard of him? So we think your energy bills will be down by 50 to 70%. How good would that be for a thing called inflation? How good will that be? You know, energy is such a big topic, such a big cost, so powerful, so big, that if you have a donut shop, you have the ovens, you have a truck that delivers the donuts, if you have whatever you do, your heating, your cooling, everything is about that. That's where they really blew it. They blew it with too much borrowing. They blew it with wasting $9 and $10 trillion on the scam, the great scam in history. There are a lot of scams that they worked on. Where's the laptop from hell? Is it around by any chance? But they did it by doing a lot of things. But with the energy, it's such a big topic. No matter what business you're in, you have to heat your business, cool your business. You need cars, trucks to get there and to take the product. It's so energy dominated. My administration will issue rapid approvals for new energy infrastructure, unlock new lands for drilling, and achieve energy independence and energy dominance. So we want energy dominance almost immediately. We were energy independent 4 years ago. Think of it. Today we're getting energy from Venezuela in the form of tar. We're getting it from Venezuela, tar. You ever see what it is to make oil out of tar? They have tar. They have a lot of tar. It's not good. You know where they make it? In Houston, Texas. It's the only plant in the world that can take this material and turn it into gasoline and oil. But no, it's tar, and they're doing very well. You know, speaking of that just for a second, so Venezuela crime is down 72% because they're taking all of their criminals out of Caracas, out of the different places. Their mental institutions are literally closing up. They're taking the people from mental institutions, people from prisons and jails, terrorists. They have terrorists all over the place. And you know where they're bringing them? Welcome to the United States of America. Murderers, drug dealers. And Venezuelan crime is down 72%, but that's only one. All over the world, crime is down because they're taking their criminals and their people from mental institutions and they're putting them into our country because we have stupid people like Kamala.
Every time he talks about this, I'm more convinced that he thinks asylum means insane asylum. Like asylum seekers are actually seeking an insane asylum.
Look at a couple of, remember I said migrant
so
crime will be a big subject.
Now.
I said that a year ago. Everyone said, oh, no, he's so wrong. Do you see what's happening with migrant crime? They make our criminals look like nice people. They do. These are the toughest. These are the toughest people in the world. The toughest people. We built 571 miles of wall, as an example. They could have, and it's more than I said I was going to build, but then I was going to add 200 miles. We had it built, and they didn't put it up. Would have taken 3 weeks to erect. It was all there, ready to put up. Would have taken 3 weeks to put up. And that's what I said. They actually want open borders. And Kamala wants open borders. And she said it for 15 years. She wants open borders.
The most famous line of Kamala is "Do not come." Like, she flew to Guatemala to tell the migrants to not come to America.
Where people can flow into our country. To further combat inflation, I will terminate Kamala's Green New Scam
right-wing,
and rescind all
the
of
right-wing
the
sentiment that the Democrats
funds.
express in terms of immigration. That's
Give
also
all
ridiculous.
Spent funds back to building roads, bridges, and give it back to the government. And we won't. It's like throwing What she did, what they did was like throwing billions of dollars out the window. We will stop wasteful spending and big government special interest giveaways and finally stand up for the American taxpayer, which hasn't happened since I was president. We stood up. We stood up. We stood up. I mean, prior to COVID coming in history, there's never been an economy like we had. Then when COVID came in, you know, we rebuilt the military. We defeated ISIS. Everybody said it would take 10 years to defeat. I did it in 8 months. We rebuilt that whole, we did so many things, and we created the greatest economy. I got a lot of credit on everything, including the economy. When COVID came in, we had to do certain things. We had to make certain moves. And if we didn't make those moves, Scott, and if we didn't help businesses survive for that little period of time, you would have had that 1929 style depression. That's what you would have had. We did a great job. But then when we handed it to them, the stock market was higher than it was previous to COVID coming in. Think of that. It was actually higher. And we handed them something that was a jewel. By the way, more people died from COVID in the Biden administration than the Trump administration, and he got it when it was ending all over the world. It was pretty much ending. So we never really got the credit we deserved for that with the ventilators and all of the different things that we did, the outfits, a lot of things. We were producing in New Hampshire and different places, masks. We had mask factories opening up. We had everything, and we did a good job. And then it came back, and should have come roaring back, but they really blew it. They spent so much money. They didn't have to spend any more money. What they had to do is let our economy take over. But we had some great Republican governors that did a fantastic job. The Democrat governors, not so much. Out of the top 25, as an example, crime-ridden cities, virtually every single one of them is run by Democrats. Think of that. To make both new and used cars more affordable, I will end the Biden-Harris electric vehicle mandate on day one.
What?
Doesn't make sense. And by the way, there's a great place for electric cars. They're going to do great. I think they're going to do great. And Elon's heard me say that many times. He still endorsed me. I mean, I wouldn't be able to change. It's a question of how far do they go and how much do they cost and all of the different things, factors. But electric cars have a great place in our country, but you have to be able to really get gasoline-powered cars, hybrids, many different types, diesel. You want diesel with trucks. You know, they want to make trucks all electric. Going to California, you have 6 stops. With diesel, you have no stops. That's hard to beat, right? If they're too heavy, common sense. We're the party of common sense. An electric truck weighs more than twice, 2.5 times what a gasoline-propelled truck weighs, right? That would mean you would have to rebuild every bridge and tunnel in the United States. Oh, that sounds reasonable. It would cost so much money. The United States doesn't have, every country together doesn't have what it would cost. But there's a great place for electric, but there's a place for every.
Famously, we had this exact same smoke for when trucks became the size of tanks, dude.
To further reduce consumer prices.
This is one of the dumbest angles to hit EVs on. Like, he's not wrong. EVs are heavier, but it is hilarious that, like, cafe standards and loopholes surrounding cafe standards have caused trucks to be ginormous. #1 selling vehicles in the country, by the way.
In my first term, our regulation cuts saved
it's so stupid. Like, that was not a consideration at all back then.
In my next term, the Trump dividend will be even larger. It'll be a dividend. By repealing the Biden-Harris regulatory onslaught, we can save an estimated $20,000, and you're talking about a tremendous amount, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 a year just in savings. So to get to economic relief to workers and families, we will make additional tax cuts. That's what gave us the great economy. We'll make tax cuts additionally. We'll make them permanent because, you know, we have a thing where they want to terminate at the end of the period when they expire, the Trump tax cuts.
He wants $1 billion from the oil and gas industry. That's why I keep saying drill, baby, drill. 4 times. You'll be paying 4 times much. And we will do something else which was copied, I mean, viciously, ruthlessly copied. No tax on tips, okay? No tax on tips. You know, if they wanted to do that, why didn't they do it 3.5 years ago? They didn't want it. It was actually the opposite.
They hired 88,000 IRS agents to go after these people.
Yeah, they're going after Coca-Cola, man. Shut the fuck up. And also some much wealthier individuals.
All of these positions 3 weeks ago, the real Kamala said.
That's the best counter to that is like they're pummeling Coca-Cola.
You will always have
but of course, you would want to make sure that Coca-Cola keeps all the taxes that they've avoided paying.
You can vote for me or not, but
this motherfucker loves avoiders, dude, more than I do at the top of the hour when you can avoid seeing the 3-minute ad break at the top of the hour by subscribing. That's the most I love the avoiders, okay? At the top of the hour when there's a 3-minute ad break, and I want you to avoid seeing those ads by subscribing for $6 or for free. Okay, here's the 3-minute ad break now. Blam. I know the VP debate was announced. I'm excited.
To help seniors on fixed incomes who are suffering the ravages of inflation, there will be no tax on Social Security. We're going to stop it. No tax on Social Security. This cruel double taxation of Social Security benefits, and this has been talked about for a long time. She'll probably announce this on Friday, too. Oh, look, they have a spy in the audience right over there. He's spying. Let's see, Kamala, I think we should do no tax on Social Security. But it only came into existence in 1984, and at that time it only affected a very small number of recipients. But now nearly half of all seniors are forced to pay income tax on Social Security, and thanks to inflation under Harris, she is horrible. This tax hits more seniors every year, more and more, and they can't make it. They're not making it. They're failing. You know, the people that did it right, they saved, they worked, they saved and saved. Those are the people that were hurt most by this kind of thinking and this economy. With your vote, I will end this injustice, and I will always protect Social Security and Medicare for our great seniors, just as I did for 4 incredible years. There was never any talk about doing anything. Kamala Harris has a 3-step plan to destroy Medicare and to destroy Social Security. First, she has thrown open our borders. You know what that's going to do. They're all signing up. Oh, congratulations. They'll be all signing up right next to you. But she's opened up our borders. Think of it. Again, I believe it's 20 million people, but I think it's probably much more with the gotaways. And you know what a gotaway is, right? Remember I had remain in Mexico policy. You think that was easy to get from Mexico? What I had to do to them. And I had remain in Mexico. They ended it immediately. They thought it was unfair to Mexico. Can you believe that? Mexico's like it's like a railroad track coming into our country. They thought it was unfair. It's not unfair. But Mexico agreed to it, remain in Mexico, and they ended it very early. They ended it almost immediately. Second, she's flooding our country with millions and millions of low-wage migrants and giving them welfare, free health care, food stamps, public benefits. And third, she's giving them what our military vets don't get. They're sleeping on a street in freezing or very hot weather. And illegal immigrants that came in so illegally and don't speak a word of English are living in some of the most luxurious hotels in the world. It's incredible. You see that. You've been seeing the stories. They're living in hotels. They're taking, right, front row Joes. They're taking some of the best hotels because the government pays more than they can get from wealthy customers. So they say, well, I don't know about this. I think we'll take the illegal immigrant. We're going to get more money from the U.S. government than some rich guy coming in from Argentina. And third, she wants to make them all citizens, dumping them into Medicare and Social Security until those programs buckle and collapse. And that's what's going to happen. Under them, Social Security, Medicare, and other programs will collapse. No country can sustain what's happening right now. The millions of illegal aliens pouring into our country under a border czar Harris are coming from all sorts of places, from countries unknown, literally from countries unknown. And they, as I said, they're coming in from prisons and from mental institutions, and they're coming in as terrorists. We have more terrorists living in our country right now, and nothing good is going to happen from this. And now it's getting more and more violent. Just pick up the newspapers, turn on your television. People stabbed, a woman yesterday raped, and when they said she was raped, you know what she said? They weren't trying to rape me, they were trying to kill me. They were trying to kill her. And he was a gentleman from a certain country I won't mention, happened to be in South America, but it's not South America. It's all over the world that they're coming in. It's not South America.
Bro, he's doing it again. Anytime there's a new crime committed by an undocumented migrant,
migrants, they came
immediately
in.
you hear about
we call them the Kamala migrants, and they were arrested for rape of a 46-year-old woman, and it was a rough situation. There were 4 or 5 other situations over the last couple of days. Rape and murder, rape and beating, rape and something else, and sometimes just immediate killing. These people are brutal. These are people that came out of the toughest jails anywhere in the world, from all over the world. And we can't take them. No country can sustain it. No country. They all said I was wrong when I said that migrant crime will reach epidemic proportions. And now it's much worse than that. It's a lot worse than epidemic proportions. It's beyond control. We have a new category of crime.
No, we don't.
Migrant crime. And I think it's going to end up being the worst category of all. These people are tough. They're tough. They're mean. They're angry. And they shouldn't be in our country. And it's not going to work out well. The migrants that Harris let in are raping our women and hurting our children, and now Kamala wants to let them pillage Social Security and Medicare. That's what's going to happen. It will never happen. It will never even get close to happening
Hitler.
If I'm in office, and I think you're going to have to
like,
put me in office.
Welcome back Hitler, dude. That's what this is.
Never been
100%.
like this. If Kamala wins, you will have mass amnesty and citizenship for all of the Biden-Harris illegals that poured into our country. If I win, you will have the largest deportation operation in American history, starting at noon on Inauguration Day, 2025. And, you know, I don't say that happily because it's not an easy situation with so many people. It's not sustainable. But Dwight Eisenhower, General Eisenhower, President Eisenhower, he was very strong on borders. He felt that you cannot do this. The largest
now he's talking about the Bracero program
we ever had was under
Operation
Dwight Eisenhower, President.
Dry
and he
Front.
Understood that it was not sustainable.
But the opposite
to have
of Dry
millions
Front.
of people coming in. But what he went through is peanuts compared to what we're going through. Nobody's ever gone. No country, no border has ever gone through what we're going through, and they're destroying our country. The Kamala migrant invasion is also a major factor in crushing your wages and driving up the cost of health care and the cost of all of your goods. Millions of uninsured illegal aliens are getting billions and billions of dollars in free health care paid for by American citizens on your medical bills. It's right on your medical bills. You know, when you hear this, you get angry because it shouldn't happen. But what happens to them, they come up in caravans. I think I came up with that name. But they have caravans of thousands and thousands of people, many, many criminals in those caravans. Very dangerous, unbelievably dangerous for women. The women in those caravans are just absolutely, it's horrible what happens. I'm not going to tell you now. It's horrible. It's horrible what happens in those caravans coming up. It's a rough journey. But they come up because we have very stupid people here that say, if you come up, we will give you health care, Social Security, medical, school. You know, our schools in a lot of places are not, you can't even go anymore. They've taken the place of our students. They have people sitting in chairs that don't speak a word of English, and they're taking the place of our young children. The hospitals, a person told me the other day from San Diego, they said they can't get into a hospital anymore. The hospitals are being occupied by illegal aliens. Somebody's got to take care. They're being occupied. And the reason they're coming is because people like Gavin Newsom and people like Kamala are saying, come, come, it's the American dream, come. They're destroying our country. We can't do it. We can't let it continue. You're not going to have a country anymore. People like Scott, brilliant Wall Street people, they're right about what they say.
Bro, this is like, this is so Hitlerian. I don't know what else to say. We already know that undocumented migrants are not responsible for a larger share of crimes than natural born U.S. citizens, okay? Natural born U.S. citizens do more crime per capita than undocumented migrants do. Undocumented migrants also are a much smaller percentage in comparison to natural born U.S. citizens. So in totality, those numbers are like even more ridiculous. The per capita argument is the obvious argument to make in terms of like their contribution to the crime rate, right? But like the totality argument makes it even more insane. Donald Trump says undocumented migrants kill hundreds of thousands of Americans every year. The real number in the last fiscal year was 26, okay? 26. Undocumented migrants killed 26 people. Now, obviously, every death is still completely of tragedy, completely unacceptable. But the idea that you tackle crime by shutting off immigration is insane. It's just born out of the hallucinations of the right. The idea that like these guys are actually responsible for crimes, hundreds of thousands, is an abject lie. And it blows my mind that the Democratic Party does not push back on this narrative. He has gone above and beyond. No more dog whistles. He just keeps saying migrants are coming in and they're all rapists and they're drug dealers and they're murderers and they're murdering all the time. And the numbers keep going up and up and up. If the Democrats do not nip this shit in the bud, if they do not counter message against this narrative panic, we are headed down a very scary path. Okay? Very scary path. We're already there. The Republican Party is primed on this issue. Okay? Can you please explain the less educated things such as social benefits, crime, and criminal status about migrants? Because the only thing I know is that the immigrant population is only 2/3 of the population. No, we're not even talking about the immigrant population. We're talking about undocumented migrants. Okay? Some say there's 15. Some say there's 20 million. Some say there's like 12. Okay? And the 12 million total. Okay? Living on U.S. soil across the board for over, multiple years and whatnot. Now, the thing is, this kind of rhetoric is incredibly dangerous. It is exactly what led to the riots in the UK, the race riots, where they were just like trying to burn mosques and trying to stab like random people that they suspect of being migrants. Wait, what did he say? Did I miss him saying we'll keep the Affordable Care Act?
And you saw that having to do with Social Security. For 4 years I was there, and for 4 years I never raised the age. They're going to end up raising your age by 5 years. I never raised your age. I never did anything. I left your plan the way it was. Never touched it. I was there 4 years. Same thing with Russia. They said, oh, he's going to go and, start a war or something. Well, you know what? For 4 years, Russia never went in to Ukraine. They waited till I got out, and then the army started to form. But, if you go back with Russia, Bush let them have a lot of land. You know that. Obama, President Barack Hussein Obama, have you heard of him? Barack Hussein Obama let them have a lot of land. Now you have Biden, he's letting them have the whole thing, okay? The whole thing. But you had President Trump. What did Putin take under Trump? Nothing. Nothing. Took nothing. He took nothing under Trump, but he took under Bush. He took under Obama. Big, big stuff. He took it in Ukraine. In and around Ukraine, but he took nothing under Trump. But now he's going for the big one, isn't he? Huh? We're going to deliver lower prices, lower drug costs, new options that will dramatically reduce the crushing burden of American patients. Kamala and Joe tried to take credit for $35 insulin. You know that. You know who did that? I did that. I did the insulin, and it kicked in. And I remember when I did it, it had to be a statute. It was a certain statute that took a certain period of time. I said, I hope I'm elected because somebody's going to get a lot of credit for doing what I got done. I got it done. $35 insulin. And now they take credit for it. It's terrible. Terrible. They take credit for a lot of things they shouldn't be taking credit for. If they said, congratulations, he did a good job at insulin, that would be nice. Nobody's going to go crazy about that. Congratulations, because insulin was impossible for people to afford. They were dying. They didn't get it. The expense was, I got it for $35. Nobody thinks it's like even possible. But they could say like, you did a great job. Thank you very much. Or you did a good job. But instead they say, we brought insulin in at $35. It's a lie. Kamala is fighting for health care for illegal aliens and fighting for health care and think of this. He's fighting for health care for people that are destroying our country. I'm fighting for health care for the American people, the people that are supposed to have the health care. The colossal influx of migrants into our cities is driving rent absolutely through the roof. That's why, and you know who's paying the rent? The government. Our government is paying rent. We're paying numbers that were not obtainable. In fact, if I ever went back into business, I'd buy some buildings in certain areas and I'll charge the government the highest rents you've ever seen. That's what they're doing. Some very smart landlords are getting a lot of money. That's why some of the luxury hotels are going into migrants. They can make much more money renting to a migrant than to wealthy people. But that's why, as president, I will seal the border. I will send them all back to their countries where they belong. Prices will come down and come down dramatically and come down fast.
Yeah, this is...
To further address the housing affordability crisis, we will work with states like Nevada, a great state. We're leading big in the poll there, by the way. Thank you very much. Good governor. To open up large tracts of federal land for housing constructions, and similar to opportunity zones that I did with Senator Tim Scott, a great guy from South Carolina, senator from South Carolina. Came in, he said, I have this idea. He's had it for a long time.
If Trump said he would do Bernie-style universal health care, would I vote for him? No, I don't believe him. What do you mean? Like, he also personally...
These areas
he also
will have low taxes,
personally
low
acted like he was going to institute price checks for like half of this conversation. He's not going to do any of that shit either.
Of a thing called, which I always come back to, the American dream, because we've lost the American dream. We will bring back our supply chains. You know, supply chains were basically not even talked. It was automatic. You have a thing, it's delivered from here to here. When this lunatic became president, with her, remember, she was there at every step of the way, but she was like silent because she was, I don't know, nobody respected her until she was the only choice left. They couldn't get anybody else. Did you see where they had the 12 most likely
He also keeps talking about how every migrant is a rapist criminal. Are you insane?
And she was the one that was
like what is this Faustian bargain, dude? It's like, hey, you get maybe you get the promise of health care, but then we kill every brown person. Like, what are we doing?
And other foreign countries, ending costly supply chain. Those are supply chain disruptions. We're going to bring them back. We're going to bring them back fast as we reduce burdens on domestic manufacturers. American workers will make our critical goods better and cheaper. We're going to make them in our country, right here in the USA.
Illegal migrant, man, shut the fuck up. No human being is illegal. Like, that's not just a talking point. You know what I mean? What do you mean? If the only thing stopping you from being like, if the only thing stopping you from getting this designation is a piece of paper, then make them like citizens. What kind of stupid shit is this? You can say illegal migrant all day, every day, but it doesn't change the reality. You know what I mean? These are people with dreams. These are people who contribute. These are people who work every day. Like, it is such an idiotic argument to make. Oh man, illegal migrants. Oh shit. Okay, dude, let's start killing people who are jaywalking too.
Biden's been unable to take those tariffs off China because it's so much money coming in, they don't know what to do. How do you replace it? Our current, he's on the take. Yeah, you're right. Do you come from North Carolina, sir? Where is the guy that said that? He's on the take. It's pretty good. I would say.
I think you're a really smart guy, but your opinion on illegal immigration is really dumb.
Deficits will be reduced to practically nothing. Our country will be powered by growth.
If you think I'm a really smart guy, then try to understand what I'm talking about with respect to illegal immigration and how it's just hysteria, okay? I'm not going to immediately attack you. If you think I'm a nice person or a smart person on other issues, then just think a little bit, okay? Chad, stop yelling at him. I mean, there is no positive argument. There is no positive argument for like mass deportation in general. Obviously, it would destroy the American economy. That's number one. If you don't care about the humanity of all these people, mass deportations is a uniquely ruthless, uniquely cruel policy in general. It's also openly racist. That's why he has no issues with Elon Musk also at a certain point being an undocumented immigrant. But beyond that, the economic, I mean, it would never happen regardless. Like, it would be
They
putting the cart
respected
before
Trump.
the
He used a
horse.
different word. I would not use that
The
word.
American agricultural
He said they were
production
afraid of Trump.
genuinely relies
He
on
had no idea where
undocumented
the hell it was
migrants.
coming from.
The solution in this process
But Joe,
is
it's
to
so
document them and allow them to also benefit from unionization.
The whole thing is crazy.
This would
what
also
was
obviously
it's
drive
crazy.
up prices,
They arrest
but
their
in the long
political
run,
opponent, they go
it would
after
make this
them.
country a much
The
more
whole
habitable place to
place
live in.
is- our country
It would
is like a
also
different
greatly
place.
improve
No more wars,
the
no more disruptions.
wages
We will
for
have
the documented
prosperity and we will
workforce.
have peace.
The only difference between an undocumented migrant and a documented U.S. citizen is documentation. But that is the reason why companies can take these desperate people and use them as a cudgel against the documented labor force. Okay?
Together we will deliver low taxes, low regulations, low energy costs, low interest rates, low inflation, so that everyone can afford groceries, a car,
And taxes would
and a home.
skyrocket? Come on,
sense.
man. What are you talking about?
We will stop
Taxes would
the
skyrocket.
invasion, end the migrant
Yeah,
crime.
you mean tax collection was skyrocket? If that's what you mean, then you're right. Yeah, we would collect even more taxes. It's great.
Social security, which is under siege. We will strengthen our military, build a missile defense shield, keep critical race theory and transgender insanity the hell out of our schools, and keep men out of women's sports. We will defend the Second Amendment, restore free speech, and we will secure our elections.
Yeah, a lot of people think that it's
Everyone
also
will
like regular
prosper.
border
Every
crossers, but
family will thrive,
the majority of
and every
undocumented
day will
immigrants
be
in this country
filled with
now that are
opportunity,
coming in
hope,
are
and
actually
joy.
visa overstayers. They're flying in.
But for that
with
to
visas
happen,
and
we
staying.
must never let Kamala Harris get
It's not
anywhere
actually
near
the
White
Guatemalan
House,
migrant
and
that
we
you're
must
thinking
defeat
of.
her country-destroying liberal agenda. She destroyed San Francisco. She's not going to destroy our country. So get your friends, get your family, register, volunteer, and get
My
the
tia
hell
works
out
80 hours a
and
week. She
vote. You
didn't get her
gotta vote.
papers in the 80s before coming. She just didn't get her papers in the 80s before coming. She's a bit of a loony Catholic, but she's not a criminal. She works at a factory making car mats. That's the type of person who's getting deported under this
On
idiot.
November
That's what I'm
5th, We
saying.
will save our economy.
Exactly.
We will rescue our middle class. We will put America first, and we will make America great again. Thank you very much. North Carolina, God bless you. God bless you all. Thank you very much.
Undocumented immigration, like immigration in this country historically, has always been talked about on the boundaries of its economic impact. They've lied about that as well. They've obviously lied about it quite a bit on that front too. Oh, immigrants are taking your jobs. They're taking your jobs. The real solution in that circumstance was always to document them, okay, and bring up wages across the board, because this never-ending hyper-exploited population that's constantly cycling in and out of the country is always going to be used and abused by business owners. That's why, you know, in your immediate life, whether you're cognizant of this reality or not, at least one Trump-supporting business owner that absolutely hires undocumented migrants. Okay, like that's a consistent reality. Okay, one thing you have to consider in this situation is that this is a relatively new phenomena. The conversation moving away from immigrants are taking your jobs to immigrants are actually raping your daughters is a relatively new phenomena in American discourse. It's obviously always existed, but it used to be simply just like the most rugged white supremacist Republicans that used to say this stuff, not like the top of the ticket aggressively. We're talking about a country that Ronald Reagan ran and literally gave amnesty to hundreds of thousands of undocumented immigrants. So, you know, this is like things have changed dramatically since then. Okay. Things have changed dramatically since then. The entire legality of the migrant process, not new. It's just very, very old, friend. I mean, there was a period of time when Americans didn't talk about the American Republican Party did not talk about migration as like as a average Euro fascist, but instead simply said this is an economic problem. Okay, it's very, very old in the sense that, yeah, It's Hitlerian. What is this? How do you create an easier process documenting immigrants? What stops violent offenders from abusing the open system? First and foremost, if we have such an open system right now, why the fuck are undocumented migrants responsible for less crime than documented U.S. citizens, natural born U.S. citizens? Like, what are we talking about? You're literally arguing with a hypothetical as though that hypothetical is real. You know what I mean? Oh, dude, if we have an open border process, then like every rapist is going to come into the country. Trump is saying that already. It's a lie. It has not happened. I mean, this is not like a new process. It's just objective fact. Immigrants are less likely to commit crimes than U.S. born Americans. There are multiple studies on the matter. And in terms of like the number of undocumented migrants, obviously there's also less undocumented migrants than there are natural born U.S. citizens in the country. So when you look at the actual totality, when you look at the actual numbers, it's like insane. It's like 20, okay? Trump says 100,000. The reality is 26. Like, think about that disparity. Trump says hundreds of thousands of Americans are being killed by undocumented migrants. The real number is 26, chat. That means that every single time an undocumented immigrant is causing a heinous crime, is doing a homicide, not 26 per day, 26 per year. Okay? It's not complicated. Of course they commit less crime because they have much more to lose versus citizen. Exactly. 26 in 23 so far in 2024. 26 in 2023. Okay?